Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, January 26th, 2016, we got a big update in the Oregon Standoff story, which began January 2nd, 2016. The update is that some of the leaders were arrested and one of the men there was killed. Keep in mind that all of these headlines are bogus because this entire story is staged propaganda where the protesters are truly controlled opposition, actor agents working on behalf of the government. And the reason that the government and media stage this type of propaganda is to send a message to the public. The message is there's nothing you can do about the tyranny you live under. You will be ruled by us, the tyrants, and you will not do anything about it. And if you do, it'll end up like this: you arrested, you behind bars, or worse yet, dead. That is the message, that is the purpose of the propaganda. And my message is, they can continue to rule this way and propagandize this way, but that is not true. The truth is, if enough people woke up and if enough people organized, this tyrannical government could be taken down. And the people who rule are aware of that, and that's why they give us these propaganda-based stories. They want to sell the message that resistance is futile, and that's not true. So please understand that. What we're going to do in the rest of this video is we're going to watch the mainstream propaganda coverage. We're going to break it down. I'm going to show how these are coded lies. In case you missed my first video, let me take you back in time before we watch this news coverage. This Oregon standoff broke out at the very end of the Alamo Bowl, the college football game where Oregon was playing Texas Christian University. So Oregon was involved in the Alamo Bowl, and then at the end of the game, this Oregon standoff made headlines. And check this out. The Alamo in history began February 23rd and ended March 6th. With regards to February 23rd, 2/23, ESPN throughout the entire Alamo Bowl kept up this image of the Oregon players, number 22 and number 3, a lot like 2/23 for the date the Alamo began. Also keep in mind that the word Masonic has Jewish gematria of 223. Masonic equals 74 in simple English, just like Oregon. And out of the 50 states, only Oregon has a gematria of 74. It is important to understand that this nation was created by Freemasons, has always been ruled by Freemasons, and still is. It is the Freemasons that control media, sports, government, and more. And these Masons operate by a numerological code, coding just about everything by the numbers, including the times of headlines. So, with regards to that number 223, look at how long this video is, Truth Seeker, this update. 2 minutes and 23 seconds long. No coincidence here. Just more evidence of the Freemason ownership of this information, this media. The other thing I want to point out, Truth Seeker, is that the Alamo ended on March 6th, which in most parts of the world is written 6/3, a lot like 63. These arrests and this shooting yesterday came on a date with 63 numerology. 1 plus 26 plus 20 plus 16 equals 63. Likely not a coincidence either. This seems to be the beginning of the end for this standoff, just like the Alamo ended on March 6th, a date with a connection to 36 and 63. So there's a lot more to break down here. Let's begin with the news coverage. We'll break down the rest afterwards. And also, I just want to say before this begins, Sarah Seidner, someone who I talk about often, anytime this woman's in a news story, you can be assured it is government-sponsored propaganda. Her career began with CNN in Ferguson, Missouri, the shooting of Michael Brown, another hoax put on by the numbers. From there up to the present, she has only shown her face in these government media staged propaganda events. These are the real sellouts, the real terrorists among us, the people who go on TV and report lies and deception.
Had those words to say about not pointing guns at each other, but he also told us that when he was sitting in front of this Malheur Wildlife Refuge that he would not be arrested, not alive anyway.
Truth Seeker, please notice that this is the first image they showed of him. We're going to break down this image. I'm going to show you the Masonic symbolism within it and the reason they're putting this image of the supposedly deceased man before our eyes. More coded symbolism.
And so those were words from him about a couple of weeks ago. He's been very adamant that he wants to stay here until, as he says it, justice was served. He is now deceased. We do not have details from the Oregon State Police or the FBI as to exactly how that went down, whether shots were fired from both sides or how he ended up shot. There was another person shot. Apparently, Ammon Bundy's brother, Ryan Bundy, had been shot in the arm. We've heard those details, some of them, from the Bundy's father. His father talked to one of our sister stations and explained what he said Ammon Bundy told him about the shooting.
He said that there was like 5 of them had been arrested. My son Ryan had been shot in the arm. LaVoy Finicum, they cold-blooded killed him. He said he was out, had his hands in the air. Said he wasn't armed. He wasn't any threats, and they cold-blooded just killed him. They shot him several times, I guess. But anyway, my son said that's what happened.
Now, that is their version of the story. We have not heard the Oregon Police or the FBI's version of how one person ended up shot and killed. What we do know at this point is we were able to get into the refuge area before they ended up putting up stop points, checkpoints, not letting people in and out unless, of course, you are a resident or a rancher in the area. What we can tell you right now is we don't see any police or FBI agents around where we are, but we do see this huge tractor here that the guys who have been and are still inside the headquarters here, still taking over those headquarters, they have put that there in place to try and create their own barricade to try, I suppose, and stop any further pushback from the FBI or the Oregon State Police. They're saying that they have decided to stay, but we don't know how many people are still there. We do know at least 8 people, one person who was all the way in Arizona, have been arrested.
Notice Seidner signing off at 6:33. Again, Seidner, a name with 33 gematria. Everything about CNN's 33, broadcasting from the 33rd parallel. Robert and Turner, both names with 33 gematria, the founder of the company, born on a date with a life lesson number of 33. I just emphasize these points because anytime you're watching this network, it's full of Masonic symbolism and coding, which is what we're about to talk about. And if you're not aware of numerology, gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, and other symbols such as hand gestures, you miss all this information that is being put before you. As we talked about in the beginning, even the video length, 223, a coded tribute to the Alamo and also the Freemasons. So let's go over this image, the one that they put before our eyes. The full name of this man who was killed is Robert LaVoy Finicum. They're mostly just calling him LaVoy Finicum. Notice also that his age is 54. And notice this picture is him standing in front of the sun. Freemasonry is largely centered around sun worship, sun symbolism, and so are the major spiritualities of this world, including Christianity, whether the people who follow those religions want to acknowledge it or not. It's obvious why spirituality and religions would be centered around the Son of God. Without the Son, there is no life. So there's a logical reason for this. Anyhow, the name Robert LaVoy Finicum has gematria of 93. 93. They tell us that the Sun is 93 million miles away. And notice that they also say he's 54 years old. In gematria, Sun equals 54. As I routinely show in decoding these stories that are put before our eyes, 54 and 93 are often paired together. 93 is also found in the gematria of the word propaganda. This is a propaganda story. 93 is also a number that shows up around sacrifice. The word crucifix has a gematria of 93. Very recently, I did a video on the death of Martin Luther King Jr. I talked about how his name in gematria summed to 93, just like Malcolm X. His final speech was given on the 93rd day of the year at a Masonic temple with an address of 930 to start the address, 93. These numbers are of great significance to the Masons. They're coded into their agents. They show up again and again in history. Also, as I pointed out in my first video, there's a lot of connections to Waco, and Waco took place in 93. So these numbers, they have a lot of symbolism, and as I just showed you, they connect in a number of ways. As for his first name, Robert, it's also a name with 33 gematria, just like the Son has gematria of 33, just like Jehovah has gematria of 33, just like there's a lot of 33 in the Bible. They say Jesus was crucified at 33. Christianity and Islam are built on these same numbers. Muslim, gematria of 33. Anyhow, again, this is taking place in Oregon, the 33rd state. Oregon is the only state with a gematria of 74 out of the 50. That's also taking place near Burns, a city that has 74 gematria, just like Masonic equals 74. They give us this 2-minute and 23-second video, Masonic. Anyhow, as for that symbol that he's making, it could be interpreted a number of ways. He has 3 fingers out, but these 2 fingers are often said to represent the V, which can be visualized as the Freemason compass and square in the Masonic symbol. It's said that the V can also symbolize 33, which would make a lot of sense in this story. Robert, Oregon. The point of this propaganda, though, again, truth seeker, is to dissuade people from participating in standing up against this tyrannical government. They want people to submit, to be down on their knees for the tyranny. Continue to work, continue to pay taxes, and continue to be ruled over with lies and propaganda, which is what the truth of all of our existence is here in the United States. A lot of people just want to have a positive attitude about it, drown out the truth, focus on the next consumer purchase, the things we've been taught to do as Americans, Be positive. Don't talk about things that are important, such as religion and politics. Be a good consumer. Pay your taxes. And be positive. Be positive. Be positive. That's how I would describe the sheeple of this nation. Never want to talk about anything important. Never want to focus on what's real, what's important. But always want to talk about the fake. And always want to be fixated on the superficial, the cosmetic, the next purchase. Notice in this picture, he's also standing before the flag. He's shot on the 26th. The word Mason has gematria of 26. So does God. So does flag. Another special number. From my earliest video, the very first one I did, I said, look out for the numbers 33, 26, 47, 74. They often show up together. Here we have 33, 26, and 74 all coming together nicely. This location, Melhauer National Wildlife Refuge, has gematria of 144. Today's story was updated at 1044, probably no coincidence. This also reminds in history of the Oklahoma City bombing at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, 144, a story connected to Waco. This story, the initial headlines, I'll just show you. Here's the very first headline I saw. Militia seizes Oregon Federal Building from January 2nd. Think about Waco siege, Oklahoma City Federal Building. That was a story of the militia, the Michigan militia getting together, 2 of their members, and plotting this conspiracy to bomb the building. All of these elements brought together, recycled. Continual stories with the same message. Submit. The name Robert LaVoy Finicum also has identical gematria to United States of America. a symbolic story for the nation,